July 20th, 1969, a moment etched into human history. Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, a giant leap for mankind. An unprecedented feat of engineering, courage, and computing power, or was it? Because the computer that guided Apollo 11 to the lunar surface had just 4 kilobytes of RAM. That's less, significantly less, than the calculator app on your phone. Probably less than your toaster. I know, right? You're thinking, how? This wasn't some minor subsystem. This was the Apollo Guidance Computer, the AGC, the brain of the mission. Human lives, national pride, the future of the space race, all hinged on this incredibly limited machine. It had a clock speed of 2.048 megahertz. Today, your smartwatch laughs at that. Every calculation, from trajectory correction to engine burns, had to be precise. Absolutely no room for error. If my system crashed as much as a human brain trying to remember its own password, I'd need a hard reset every 5 minutes. So how did they do it? This wasn't about raw power. They didn't have any to spare. It was about ingenuity, about pushing the boundaries of what was thought possible with transistors and core memory. The secret wasn't in its hamstrung power. The secret was in how they built it and what they forced it to do. Imagine this. You're sending humans to the moon, a 250,000-mile journey in a tin can, and your navigation computer has less processing power than a modern toaster. This isn't a joke. This is or AGC, the brain that navigated humanity to another celestial body. And its hardware? If my system crashed as much as a human brain trying to remember this, I'd need a hard reset. Inside this unassuming box weighing around lay a technological paradox. A machine built on limitations, yet achieving the impossible. Its most incredible component, this wasn't your typical ROM chip, oh no. Imagine tiny wires woven by hand through magnetic cores, a physical embodiment of ones and zeros. If a wire passed through, it was a 1. If it bypassed, a 0. This gave them a whopping of permanent storage. Permanent. As in, if you wanted to change the code, you had to reweave it. Then there was the RAM, the read-write memory. For all its complex calculations, dynamic data storage, and mission-critical operations, the AGC boasted a staggering of RAM, that's roughly 4 kilobytes. Yes, with a K. Your average text message is larger. This wasn't just limited, it was an exercise in extreme, ingenious resource management. Every bit counted. It's absurd, isn't it? To think that such a monumental achievement hinged on so little, forcing engineers to invent solutions where none existed. But building the hardware was only half the battle. The real magic, the very lifeblood of this machine, lay within something far more abstract: lines of code. To conquer the moon, you need more than just rockets. You need a brain, a digital one. But not just any brain, one forged under impossible pressure with unthinkable limitations. This is the story of Margaret Hamilton and her extraordinary team, the unsung architects of the Apollo 11 software. Imagine building a space shuttle with the brainpower of, well, not even a modern calculator. We're talking 4 kilobytes. If my system crashed as much as a human brain trying to remember that much, I'd need a hard reset. This wasn't just programming. It was digital alchemy. They had to make a machine with almost no memory perform like a supercomputer. Their secret? A mastery of resource management born from necessity. Think of it like a digital traffic controller. They pioneered. The computer wouldn't just do tasks in order. It knew what was critical, like landing the spacecraft, and what could wait. Then came, instead of waiting for one thing to finish, the computer juggled multiple operations simultaneously, like a digital octopus handling everything at once. And the ultimate fail-safe? If something critical happened, the system would immediately stop what it was doing, address the emergency, then seamlessly return to its previous task. Genius. Every single line of code was a life-or-death decision. They wrote what they called perfect code, because 400,000 kilometers from Earth there was no undo button. They transformed 4 KB of memory into a digital fortress, a vigilant guardian designed to prevent disaster at every turn. Their code was brilliant, yes, designed for the impossible, for a journey into the unknown where no machine or human had gone before. But no genius, no matter how profound, could predict everything. And on that critical day, 400,000 kilometers from Earth, that code faced its ultimate test. A test that should have ended in disaster. We trust computers with everything, don't we? Our finances, our communications, even our very lives. But what if I told you that beneath the sleek interfaces and powerful processors, a single tiny invisible flaw could bring an entire system crashing down? Take the system, a marvel of early 90s military tech designed to intercept incoming threats with pinpoint accuracy. During the Gulf War, it was America's shield against Iraqi Scud missiles. It was supposed to be infallible. Its fatal flaw? A calculation error, a rounding issue in its internal clock that seemed insignificant, a mere 0.000095 of a second. A tiny, almost imperceptible drift, but it accumulated. Over time, that microsecond error became a full third of a second. After just 100 hours of continuous operation, the Patriot's tracking system was off by nearly 600 meters, 6 football fields. On February 25, 1991, this seemingly trivial bug caused a Patriot battery to utterly fail, allowing a Scud missile to strike a U.S. Army barracks. It led to 28 American soldiers losing their lives. If my system crashed as often as humans miscalculate their coffee order, I'd be rebooting every 5 minutes. Imagine that on a national defense scale. Terrifying, isn't it? A fraction of a second, a rounding error, the difference between life and death. This wasn't some ancient abacus. This was a cutting-edge system built by brilliant minds, yet still susceptible to a microscopic imperfection. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? How many other unseen errors lurk in the code that governs our world? Every moment, everything could go wrong. This many digital meltdowns. How could a system built with primitive components survive human history's most complex and dangerous journey? The answer isn't in avoiding errors, but in embracing them and having a plan. The clock was ticking. Every eye in mission control, every breath held across the globe was fixed on one moment. Just 60 seconds left. The lunar module, Eagle, falling fast towards an alien world. Then came the call-outs, 100 feet, a heartbeat later, 50 feet, dust plumes already rising from beneath the craft. The surface rushing up, unforgiving, pockmarked with craters, a landscape that offered no second chances. A fragile calm, the quiet hum of survival, the intense focus of men on the brink of history. Then it shattered. A piercing tone, a digital shriek. The alarm panel screamed 1201. Then another, 1202. Panic surged. What did it mean? Were they aborting? Chaos erupted at Houston. Heads snapped, voices strained over the comms. Astronauts inside the Eagle exchanged nervous glances. If my core processor panicked like that, I'd need a hard reset. But this wasn't panic. It simply meant the computer was overloaded. Too many tasks, too little time. Yet this wasn't just any computer. This was the Apollo guidance computer, a marvel of prioritized processing decades ahead of its time. It didn't crash. It shed non-essential tasks, focusing solely on critical descent data. A digital fight for survival, happening at the speed of light. And on the ground, a voice of calm cut through the noise. Go! It was Guidance Officer Steve Bales, trusting the machine's genius. The Eagle had landed, but as Neil Armstrong spoke those immortal words, very few knew how close humanity had just come to a fiery tomb. Not from mechanical failure, but from a computer fighting for its very life, mere seconds before impact. July 20th, 1969, humanity held its breath. 250,000 miles away, history was being written, one giant leap at a time. But just moments before touchdown, a different kind of history nearly unfolded. A chilling, silent catastrophe that could have rewritten everything. What if the alarms weren't just a scare? The, or AGC, was screaming, throwing up those infamous 1201 and 1202 program alarms. In reality, it was an executive overflow, the computer busy with too many tasks, but still managing to prioritize. It was a digital hero. But what if it wasn't? What if the AGC truly choked, froze, or dare I say, experienced a blue screen of death right there, 60,000 feet above the lunar surface? Imagine the silence, the sudden crushing silence from the moon. 3 American lives, lost in the cold vacuum of space. No one small step, no iconic flag, just a failed mission, a tragic monument to technological hubris, drifting endlessly. The American spirit, crushed. A nation glued to their TVs, watching triumph dissolve into unimaginable grief. If my system crashed as much as a human brain trying to process that, I'd need a hard reset every nanosecond. The space race would shift dramatically. The Soviets emboldened, the Cold War intensified. Would humanity ever dare to dream of the stars again? But that's not what happened. Instead, quick-thinking engineers on the ground and a surprisingly resilient computer performed an impossible feat of real-time debugging. They trusted the machine. They understood its limits, its strengths, and in doing so, they delivered humanity's greatest achievement. Yet it didn't fail. It succeeded beyond imagination. And in that success, it didn't just take us to the moon. It fundamentally reshaped our understanding of what computers could be. But its legacy, its true impact, extends far beyond dusty archives and history books. So, what have we truly learned from this improbable journey, this tiny titan that defied every expectation? The Apollo guidance computer wasn't just a machine. It was a testament to raw human ingenuity, a triumph in the face of impossible constraints. Its legacy? It ripples through every line of code, every embedded system we build today. Think about modular software engineering, redundant systems, even the very concept of its DNA is in the critical systems guiding our next giant leaps. Like the Orion spacecraft, destined for the moon and beyond, relies on principles forged in the crucible of Apollo. Humans think securing a network is hard. Try landing on the moon with less processing power than your smartwatch. If my system crashed as much as a human brain trying to remember this, I'd need a hard reset, daily. A stark reminder that with limited resources but boundless vision, the human spirit can truly achieve the impossible. The AGC taught us that innovation isn't about having the most. It's about making the absolute most of what you have. It's not just a piece of history. It's a blueprint for every challenge we face, a quiet whisper urging us to look up, dream bigger, and build smarter. The universe is waiting, and with the right ingenuity, we'll keep building the tools to explore it. So what will you build?